Hello.
Hi. Okay. You got the Gemara?
So we're done with Yerushalmi?
What?
We are done with Yerushalmi.
No. Shabbos and Chesed Beis is Yerushalmi. Sorry.
Hang on. Okay. Got it.
There's still bits and pieces to make up.
What?
There's still bits to make up. There's one bits and pieces.
Okay.
Okay. Mem Chesed Beis. There's the two dots. It says Hakotzer. About 10 lines down, maybe 8.
I got the wrong Gemara. Jeez. Not my night. Two lines. Amar?
No, 8 lines. Hakotzer, 2 dots.
Kotzer, got it.
Okay, Hakotzer. This is one of the things you're chayav on Shabbos. This is the Mishnah which enumerates all the malachos. Tanya Rabbi Chia, Hakotzer, harvesting grain, Habotzer, harvesting grapes, Hamosek, I believe that is olives, Hagoder is figs, Hatolesh, plucking. I don't think it has to do with anything specific, but again, wherever the derech is to do klisha. Ore is talking about. Oh no, I was mistaken. Goder is dates. Ore is figs.
Okay.
Kulam mishum kotzer, all chayiv because the kotzer also lotus of kotzer. Hey, in the gaza spog, somebody who cuts off a sponge from the seabed, gumi. I think that's a type of seaweed. And coralline is coral. Okay? Chai mishum kotzer. So all these are considered to be growing, including the coral. And therefore you're chai mishum kotzer, because when you cut them off from the seabed. But also mishum notea. Because when you cut them off, it spurs new growth. So therefore you're chai because of both. Okay? But it's two malachos. You also have boom b'shem melakish. Hanosin otzitz nakuf.
I think you skipped 2 lines.
What?
I think you skipped 2 lines. Hahain the gazuz.
Oh, sorry. You're right. I'm sorry. Hahain the gazaz kuzbar. These are all types of vegetation. Kuzbar is coriander, with which you make rye bread. Karpi, some leek. Karpas. Some sort of lettuce. Gargar. It's also some sort of lettuce. I forgot its name offhand. Trixkamin. Kishumin. I know those are, but now we know is mint. Chai mishum koti mishum zorea. So these things also, if you cut them down, they start growing again. So you chai mishum because of kotzer and zorea. Before it was notea because those are considered to be like trees, and these are zorea because these are considered to be vegetation. Rabbi Yosef says, "I know saying otzitz nakuv." Now, this is a perforated flower pot, and it's on the ground, and you picked it up. Agabe otzitz nakuva. You picked it up and put it on top of another perforated flower pot. It's a fascinating thing. In other words, you picked it up and put it on the table, you just a kumshum kotzer. But you pick it up and you put it on another flower pot, then when you picked it up, it's kotzer. When you put it down on the other flower pot, since the other flower pot is connected to the ground, you're chai because of zoreh. Right?
Do we really ask it that way by an otzitz nakuv?
I believe so. I mean, it makes sense. I don't see anybody argue.
Physically tolation anything.
What? It doesn't matter. That's good. When you pick up an otzi, even if you have an otzi tzedakah in your house, and you have a stone floor, you're not allowed to move around on Shabbos into the suffix of kotzer because they can derive nourishment through the floor of the pot, through the stone floor. There's a psak of the Chazon Ish. They say that I don't know if the Chazon Ish himself or somebody else or whatever once dug up the stone floor and was shown under a perforated flower pot, and was shown that actually you could see that somehow you could see the water made its way up through the stone. I guess he eroded the stone in order to make it through the perforated flower pot. By perforation, we don't just mean necessarily has a hole. A flower pot made out of earthenware is also considered to be, kli cheres, is also considered perforated by definition.
Interesting.
Okay? So,
okay.
Rabbi Yossi Rabbi Blum B'Shem Rabbi Shimon Lakish, HaKotzitz Koras HaShichma, you cut off a beam of sycamore. Chavra Mishum Shalosh. You call for 3 prohibitions. This is, what are they? Rabbi Yossi Blum, below pleading. This is it's not a machlokes on Rabbi Shimon Reish Lakish. It's an extension of Reish Lakish. HaKotzitz, when you cut it off, Chai Mishum Koitzer, Mishum Zareh. You do both. Cut it off and you generate new growth. V'mochka, and then when you smooth it, Chai Mishum Makav Patish. The smoothing is Makav Patish, and that it finishes off the beam which you're going to use from the sycamore tree.
Mm-hmm.
Rabbanak Yisrael said, "I ain't the tzai kavra." This is fascinating. Somebody who hunts fish, and anything where you separate it from its life source, right?
Yeah.
What?
Okay.
Chai mishum kotzer. Now, of course, not like the babri. In the babri on fish, chai mishum the tias neshama, which is a form of killing, right? Shchita. It's the word of shchita. But here he's saying that by the Yerushalmi holds that fishing is kotzer. Okay? Because the way you're killing it is by removing it from the place where it grows. It's not a separate act of killing. Therefore, it's just like harvesting. It's very big finish. That's what the Yerushalmi says. Okay?
Is there a nafkamina or not really?
I don't know if there's an nafkamina. Could be not. But I think if there's somehow, if you have a fish out of water and you hit it on the head, so according to Yerushalmi, you're not doing anything because you're ready to kotzer. According to, actually that's not true. It could be chayv too, because of kotzer, and then because when you kill it,
it's dying quicker.
It's dying quicker, so it could be chayv too. That's a good point. Yes, so that might be actually comes out of chumrah. Okay. The Carbonator adds, this specifically when it was already in a designated pond or something like that. Because it wasn't a designated pond, there's an initial issue, of course, of tzad, of catching it. But here it's not, here you're not actually catching it, it's already caught because it's in a designated place.
Okay.
So even though it says tzad, it doesn't specifically mean tzad. It means that you remove it from its place. Ham'amer. Ma'amer means to make something into grain into sheaves. Rabbi Shimon bar Sitroi, son of bar Sisteroi, Sarasisratoi. Boy, Tolodas Imur Ezu. What's a Tolod of Imur? Rabbi Yossi Sham is Tam, Rabbi Shimon, B'Shem Rabbi Acha. So Yossi said, I heard. I'm sorry. I should have parsed that differently. Rabbi Shimon bar Sitroi, boy, Tolodas Imur Ezu. Rabbi Yossi said, Sham is Tam, Rabbi Shimon, B'Shem Rabbi Acha. But I said, I heard there is a Toloda. I just don't remember what I heard that Toloda is. Makadun. So what is the conclusion? What is a Toloda Ma'amer? Hahen de Kosis Ores. Somebody who who removes the shell of rice. Let's call it a shell, whatever the rice comes in. Because he's oren, or he does the same thing for barley.
Okay.
And also or chalukah. I think chalukah is. I know what chalukah is. I guess some sort of other grain. I'm not sure what it is. I mean, I don't know what it is. As the Pnei Moshe doesn't say, I don't think the Pnei Moshe says either. He doesn't. Okay, so Chai Mishum Dosh. That is a chiyuv of Dosh, which goes, obviously is not related to Ma'amer, but the next one is. Hahen de Shatach Tzolim. So, in the Shatach Tzolin, if you take a look in the Pnei Moshe, the third line in the wide lines, he said, the Shatach Tzimukin, that if you had laid down raisins to dry, right? Kolta, if you gather them together, Chai Mishum Amer. That's the same thing like bundling grain together.
Mm-hmm.
There's then other people who are involved in printing and publishing. That the people who arrange the type in the plates. Haburim, who are ignorant. Shema'arvin osios, they mix letters. Vositevo zorim, and they make strange words. Umusimim also bein ha-mitzorim, and they put them between the grids which hold them in place. Of Eitzel Magim, and by the people who are supposed to be the proofreaders, Shotos Einayim Kohos, there are weak eyes. Yadayim Atzlos, and lazy hands. Umenichim Kach, and they leave it that way, the ability to attack in toes without correcting the mistake. And the iron, it's a move us, without correcting that which is distorted. So, I think actually that should all be move us with two vubs. And whoever made that line probably distorted too. But anyway, it's interesting, Pnei Moshe, editorial comment on how all these things, the mistakes occur. And in Yeshivas, they used to say that the mistake was the mistake of the Bocher HaZetzer. The Bocher HaZetzer means the person who used to set the type. Right? Zetz means to set the type in place. So, so he takes.
I missed that because.
What?
In Yeshivas, they used to say what?
It was a mistake of the Bocher HaZetzer. Right? The Bocher who set type in place. Like the Pnei Moshe says here. Right? So therefore he takes out the word, he takes the word Tzalim altogether. This is the Shatach Tzimukin. Okay, so the, I wrote here on the side, I'm not sure where I got this, from, that, I see where I got it from. Pnei Moshe writes that the Tzalim in the first shot, which we didn't see, says that he put it on, he put the raisins on hides, I guess, to keep them clean. And the Korban Eder writes that it is a type of a fig. So in other words, it would be Shatach Tzilin Tzimukin, right? You spread figs or you spread raisins. And Mesulsala, I wrote on the side that this is
it's salt.
What?
Korban Eder says it's salt.
Yeah, that's yeah. So, but according to that, the mean that you gathered salt, you'd be chayav. But I wrote here on the side, where it's, what's the mistake? I'm not sure I got this one, but I wrote the Hainu Lashon Names. What does Susla mean, Names? Okay, I don't know where I got that from. But anyway, which I interpreted to be that it's spread widely. In other words, if they're heaped together, the raisins and the figs, it's not ma'amer. It's got to be they're spread widely, and then you gather them together. They'll be ma'amer. And then I wrote that buklata, the next thing, which it says, are dry twigs, right? Mm-hmm. And then he goes into a couple other variations on the theme. But I wrote that, to me it seems that the base is a mistake. In other words, it should have been vikolta, right? Which makes more sense, right? Vikolta means gather them together. Okay? Chai mishum amer. That's the chiva, ma'amer. Kol shenogeh ba'ochel. Oh, actually, that's what I thought I made that up, but it's not true. That's what the Mordechai. That's the name Moshe said for the Mordechai. The sheter tzimuk in kolta chayav. Okay. So it seems that the Mordechai took out a lot of words from this line, right? According to him, the whole line should read, the sheter tzimukim v'kolta chayav mishum amer. Okay. Kol shu nogeh ba'ochel chayav mishum amer. So anytime it touches the food, you feel as ma'amer. But b'klipa mishum dash. That's very strange. So look at carbon Adam. Kol shu nogeh ba'ochel atzmo. It's like the seventh line down and medium lines. Okay. Kol shu nogeh ba'ochel atzmo to learn the ma'amer. Avam asvan lasir klipasan. If you gather them together, I guess you're rubbing them together in order to remove their husks. That's dash. Okay? So gathering together for the purpose of gathering together, that is ma'amer. Gathering together for the purpose of removing the shells is considered to be the husk, is considered to be dash. Okay? Hado itasa. This is a woman. Kam ma'arvach b'chita. It's actually, it's not. It seems like it's not a certain woman. It's just a generic woman. A woman. Kam ma'arvach b'chitaya. When she mixes the grain, kernels of grain together in order to remove from them the dust or whatever pebbles they have in them, mishimarakta. That's the tola the marakid, where you sift in order to remove the psolas. Kaimavachaya barasha, when she snaps off the husk from the top of them, mishum marakta. She's chayav because mishum dasha. That's dash because she's removing the edible part from the inedible part. Kam mizbara b'tzdidaya, when she when she breaks the sides of the grain, she shoveres atzadim shechitim daim lasir psoros shedovuk b'tzara chitim, something which is really adhering to the grain. Chayim mishum boreh shoveres ochim b'toch psoros. So before it's just the guk which is the junk which is mixed in together. Here's stuff which adheres to the grain. She knows that's chayim mishum boreh. Kan misfaya, when she says she moserves lichtosh, she continues pounding chayav mishum tochen. She's chayav because of tochen, because she's grinding it. Kan menafya, when then she winnows it, she's chayav mishum zoreh, and again she's removing some sort of additional stuff she doesn't want from it. I'm not sure exactly what, but that is that was also considered to be a form of zoreh. Usually zoreh is when you do it in, you take the the straw and the grain after the cows have pounded them have been dush, and then you throw it into the wind, and that wind separates the chaff. But this is all about it's also a form of Zorah, and I guess I think it's a Taloda, not the Ikar Malacha, because it's being done on a small scale. Now this is a huge chiddush of Yerushalmi. When you finish doing the Malacha, whatever you're doing, that's Makabeh Patish. According to Yerushalmi, there's Makabeh Patish by food. The Bavli does not hold the Makabeh Patish by food. So, if you hold Makabeh Patish by food, there's a tremendous possibility of chumrah, right? Like, if I finish making my tea, why is that not Makabeh Patish? Right? So, there are all sorts of, because Makabeh Patish always means the last step in a malacha. So, it's really a judgment call. If you, according to Yerushalmi, clearly it has to be the end of a long procedure. Not, I just finished making tea or I just finished making coffee. But and there are poskim or chayshish for this Yerushalmi, that there is Makabeh Patish by food. And therefore it could possibly come out tremendous chumrah. Okay, this is what we have to do for today. We'll stop here. I will let you know next week. There's still a couple of loose ends, maybe 2 weeks more.
That's fine. I just
Okay. All right. Next week I'm starting in Detroit, so I'm not 100% sure I'll be able to learn, but we'll try.
Okay, I'd like that.
Okay. Take care.
Great. Bye.
Yes. Okay, for those of you who are just tuning in now, I think we lost the first part of this tape. But we only did a very little bit out to a little bit. We're on the bottom of Mem Chesam base. Okay, so in any event, moving right along. So this woman, did I finish this case now? Yeah. Oh, so the Chiddush of the Yerushalmi here is that there's Makabeh Patish by food. The Bavli never uses Makabeh Patish by food. Now, this is really a monumental chumrah. If you think about it. Let's say you make Nestle Squick on Shabbos. So, you can tie the guy's chayav a Makabeh Patish for having completed making the quick.
Yeah. Could be anything.
Anything, right?
Or a salad.
Yeah. Right?
I don't know.
The ramifications of this are vast. The Yerushalmi never really gets into it and says where Makabeh Patish is a fact and when it's not. It seems that it only has to do with actually making a food stuff edible, right? So milk is edible and chocolate is edible, so there it's not relevant. But in fact, later on in the Masechta, I just from looking in some of the indexes which abound, it seems like we might see it even in other settings. That it's going to be anything which makes food stuff, enhanced, might be Makabeh Patish. But for the time being, let's not worry about that. Let's assume it's only at the end of a process of making something edible that you have Makabeh Patish at the end.
It seems to me that it comes, like you said, at the end of the process where you went through the entire process.
Right. There had to have been a list of several malachos.
So it wouldn't be independent on its own.
Right.
If you took the cocoa bean or the chocolate bean, whatever it is, and
started from there.
Everything else, then adding the milk to the Nestle's would be
right. It's possible. I would like to hold that way. I don't know for sure, but I would like to believe that's true. Okay. 5 months about. When you beat a piece of flax with a rod, mishum dash. So you're separating the good chaff from the bad, and for the good from the chaff, and that's called dash. Marova, it should be marocha. When you beat it with a different type of, literally the Karmei Bnei Moshe say it's something with which you put the challah in and out of the oven when you're cooking it, a paddle. So here you beat it with the paddle, so mishum tochen actually grinds up the flax. Bafsista, which means when you remove the chaff, so then that's considered to be zoreh, like winnowing by grain. Bikap when you remove things by spoon, in other words, with a smaller implement, mishum borer, then you chayav borer. Cotton falik, when you separate the flax fibers, mishum, and this should be minapates, chayav because of separating fibers. Cotton matlish, when you cut the fibers, mishum mechatech, chayav because of cutting. Gomer malachta, when you finish the chain of activities, mishum makav patish, and there's a chiyuv makav patish. Okay? Hayin deshochat tuma. Somebody who grinds or pounds garlic. Kama for Charesha. Now I don't know. I didn't really look up the halacha for tonight, but I don't know if you're allowed to take the husk off of garlic on Shabbos. According to this, because it says Kadma for Charesha. When you peel off the husk from a garlic, mishum dash, and that's dash. Okay, because you're extracting. What? What am I supposed to do with the Yerushalmi?
Ignore it.
Okay.
What can I tell you?
Right. That's what you have to do.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe it's a medium. Maybe the Yerushalmi talk about when you're doing a large amount. Right. It's like a industrial removing of the husk. But then when you're doing individual husk, so it's not such a problem. I don't know. I'm just saying. Here it says when you remove the husk from the garlic, it's a problem. Okay?
Now, why isn't it boring?
Because of the later step of borer. Kamevara b'klibasa, next stage. Kamevara b'klibasa, when you separate it from the husks which are sitting there. In other words, now they're mixed in together, right? When you're separating the husk, then that's borer. Kachachim l'duchta, when you pound it with a mortar and pestle mishum talking, that's grinding. Kadyoy mashkin, when you put in beverage to mix it with, I guess they mix it with oil or with water, mishum, this should be lush, because of kneading. If you finish the activity, shum makav patish. Okay? Hain sikra, this is color, a dye, which is made out of a mineral, not necessarily out of a vegetable. Kad, here should be mechache, they all say. Begarare, b'klifus, when you pound it with some sort of rubbing. Right, rubbing, sorry. When you rub it with some sort of implement, the garare is an implement, in order to take away the outer husk of it, or the outer, it's not a plant, so the outer layer of it, mishum borer, that's borer. When you cut it, and you split open that outer layer in order to get the inner layer, that's called mishum dash. When you grind it, mishum tochin, because of grinding. Kadyoy mashkin, when you put in liquid in order to stir it, mishum lash, because of lash, of kneading. Kad mashka bentar, when you put the color into the specific place in the building where you're going to put it. Antaran is obviously some Greek translation I'm not familiar with, but it means the place that's going to build the building, mishum bonet, because of bonet. Kad mekate beguma, when you snap off the excess dye which is coming out of the hole, mishum mechatech. It seems that it came in a dye stick, so therefore you cut off the stick, that's called mechatech, cutting. Gamra melachta, when you complete the process, mishum makav patish, chayakas makav patish. Rabbi Chia period. Rabbi Chia b'shem Rabbi Yochanan said, Dagim shesochta, if you have fish which you squeezed, im legufan, if it's in order to fix them up, potter, you're exempt. So it's the Rabbana, but you're exempt. Being low tzitzir, if it's done in order to remove their liquids, also it is forbidden. Okay? Because then already you're doing it for the liquids, and that's like dash.
We have this already.
Right. But we had this in the Bavli. Well, we had a brief in Yerushalmi also, that's true. There's the main sugya. Now the next one should be Rav. Rav Amar, Kivashim Shusachtan, if you have fish which you squeeze, im laguvan, if it's for their own purpose, mutter, it's mutter altogether. The main, if it's to get out the liquids, also it's not nisa the rice, it's only nisa the rabbanan. Shlokos, vegetables, ben laguvan, ben lemeimeyan, whether you're squeezing out or for their own enhancement or for the juices, it should be mutter. Even though it says also, the proper Yerushalmi is mutter. Why? Because we have a halach which you learned back in brachas, if you remember, that the brach you make on vegetable juice, which is cooked together the vegetables, is what? Adama, right. So therefore, it's not considered to be a problem of dash, because you're not getting liquid from solid, you're getting solid.
It's still
Right, you're getting solid from solid because you make hadam on it, so therefore it's still considered part and parcel of the shlokos. So there's nothing new which came here, so therefore it's not going to be dosh. Okay? Where am I? Shmuel Amar Echot Kvashim Echot Shlokos. Whatever you're doing, whether pickles or whether cooked vegetables. Bein l'gufan bein me'meyan, whether you're doing it in order in order to get out their juice, or in order to understand whether to get out their juice, also it's forbidden. Amar Chizkiya said, "Hoded the Rab pligo the Rabbi Yochanan." That which Rav said previously, argues Rabbi Yochanan. Rabbi Yochanan is much stringent. Amar Raimana lama. Why is that? Why do you come to the conclusion? Ta'in Amar Aser Mutter. Rav said it's Aser by a fish and Mutter by anything else. Right? And lost my place. Again, Lama Dahin. Why you say that? Because this guy said also Mutter. Bain Amar Chayavu Potter. I forgot what this means. What? No, Chayav is the Raisa, yeah.
He says, okay, so he says, according to the second version, all the Fikir of Fatim perish. He had Krovim B'choma Tzrichin Yosef B'choma, below the Omer with Fikir of Fatim down.
Oh, it's a Kash and Teretz. That's what I'm getting wrong. Only Ramana Lama. What is the difference in opinion between Rabbi Yochanan and Rav? And the more answer is Dahain Omar Aser or Mutter. That which Rav says concerning one thing Aser, nothing Mutter. According to on the self same things, Dahain Rabbi Yochanan says that Amar Chayev Upater, that there's nothing which is the opposite. I'm sorry. And that which Rav said, that which Rav said Osir Mutter, Rabbi Yochanan even throws in the word Chayev and makes it a Chayev Deraisa from time to time, and so he doesn't make it ever Mutter. He works it at best, makes it at best a Potter that you're exempt, but not that it's ever going to be Mutter Chatchila. So we assume he's the one who's more Machmir. That's the bottom line. Okay? Am I making sense?
When he's Chayev what? Korban?
Yeah, Chayev is Korban or Misa.
And if he's also
This is the Rabbanon.
so he's Chayev
Nothing. Yeah, I guess they can, but it's not required. They don't have to give him Marcus Margus. Okay, says more further. Alright, Bobar Memo, Botzel Sharisko. If you have an onion which you chopped up, even in time, if it's to enhance the taste, it's also because of what? What is it also because of? You chopped off an onion in order to enhance its taste. What's it also because of? Oh, come on, you should know by now. Yerushalmi. Thank you, Yerushalmi.
Okay. It's
Makabatish, yeah. You finished the work of making the onion suitable to eat. Okay? However, and therefore the flip side of that is, if you're not doing it in order to make it more edible, so to speak, enhance it, but rather to remove the bitterness, then it's mutter. That's a mutter thing to do. Alright? So it's fascinating distinction. To remove a problem is only Issa D'Rabbanan. To enhance the taste is Nissa D'Oraisa Mako Batish. That's what we're saying here. Okay?
What about the fish?
Actually, I take back Nissa D'Oraisa because it says here also, but it's also because it's similar to Mako Batish.
So what about squeezing out the liquid of the fish to help to make the fish?
Right, so this would be according to the opinion that there it's also, but not Chayev.
But they didn't. Yeah, but
Yeah, it was Rab. That was Rab, not Rabbi Yochanan. Rav Takel that way. Okay. Says Gemara further. It's known, Rabbi Zir and B'Shem Rav Huna said, it's known to tell the milk if you have a radish which is soaked in salt, it's known to tell the milk you're allowed to soak it in salt, or vajshleish, as long as you don't leave it there too long, that it's going to get too salty, because that's like tanning it. Rabbi Zir and B'Shem Rav Huna said, Kela mi beisa uman lovshan. If you pick up stuff from the cleaners right before Shabbos begins, and who does not? So you're still allowed to wear them on Shabbos. They might not be properly sized. So what? If it rips, it rips. That's the way the cookie crumbles. It doesn't bother you enough to make it usher.
This is not the cleaner. This is like from a tailor or something like that.
Yeah, a tailor, right. It's not the cleaners, really. Rabbi Zira B'Shem Rav Huna said, if your garment got stuck in the thorns, you can remove the thorns, literally means cool it down, but it means you remove the thorns, in a private place so people shouldn't see you do it, as long as you're careful not to cut the garment. On Rabbi Zira B'Shem Rav Huna, if mud fell on his clothes, you can rub it off with one hand. But you shouldn't go like this to the fabric, because that, in order to get out the mud stain which is embedded in the fabric, because that's like laundering. Okay? Rabbi Zira B'Shem Rav Huna said, to shake out a garment in order to clean it. If one person shakes himself, shari, because that's obviously not professional. The class of 3 people, it's also because that's very professional. If it's right, say tzricha, where 2 people, I don't know if it's mutter or not. Send the guy home. Okay? So shaking out garments only is mutter by one or two guys. By 1 guy, it's also by 3 guys, and 2 we do not know. Okay? Hain the sachi. So the person went to the mikvah. What happens when he comes up? One said, to take your towel and dry yourself off like this is also to take your towel and dry yourself off. The other way is mutter. Okay? One second, where am I? What? The Corona Amar, the other one says, Benkach. What? Regardless, also it's forbidden. Why is it forbidden? Regardless. So, yeah. Yeah, because no matter what towel you use, when I use the towel, it's still going to come to the schita. Rabbi Abarzim, no, Rabbi Zira went to the mikveh with Rabbi Zira, or the bathhouse. Shavki Avad Lachim, Lachim didn't let himself dry it at all, he had to air dry. Okay? Naflu Mayim Garden, what if water falls on your garments? So Ravun Rav Yirmiyah Chadamar Menaro Share, one said you're allowed to shake it over, that's okay, but not allowed to give shiur, not sure, to grind it. On top, you're not allowed to, not grind it. I keep getting this wrong, too tired. No, you're not allowed to rub the garment in order to get off the water. In other words, niur would be like this, and a machko would be like that. So that's to do niur, not machko. The other one said the exact opposite. B'chona machlif. They're allowed to do machko, not niur. The question is, what's more obviously a quasi chilul Shabbos? Rabbi Barashi said, somebody who spits, mavlio b'ksuso, you can rub it into your garment. You don't have to be afraid of any possible isser. Barashi said, he's spoken Rabbi Chia v'ruba of Rabbi Shimon. He had a machlokas. Chadamar, one said, rokek v'shav, you're allowed to spit and rub your spittle into the ground. The other one said, Chadamar, ain't a rokek v'shav, you're not allowed to do so. Ma pligin, where's their machlokas b'shem b'msibus when there's no floor? The question is a question of what? A shvuye gumos, right? So, smoothing out the what? The furrows, right? Mapli and b'shem b'shem sipus, when there's no floor. Avayeshem sipus, then it's whether you can do this or not, or whether they're afraid that you're going to sweep out the floors. Avayeshem sipus, if there is a floor, rokek v'shaf, you're allowed to spit and allowed to rub, everything is mutter. Okay, if you spit into the wind, and the wind carried it away, chai mishum zorei chai because of winnowing. The chod of Hashem mechusar l'ruach, the mashbiach is everything which is masur ruach, everything that has to do with the wind, chai mishum zorei chai because of zorei. Now this is obviously very difficult. Rabbi Akiva Eiger asked the question. Zorei means to remove chaff or dross from positive. Where's the removal here? Spitting into the wind. Right?
You just separating saliva.
So one person says it's separating saliva, which is very deicha, because I think it's a Pnei Moshe who says that, right? The Lieberman brings down a pshat from Reb Menashe Ilya, this great goyen of the controversial one of the 19th century, who said that the pshat is you're chai because of otzah. So why do we bring in Zoreh? Because Zoreh is an example where the wind helps you and you're still chayev. Even though you didn't do the whole thing yourself, the wind was a catalyst for it, you're still chayev. So to you we see the same thing, that even though it's not your fault, nonetheless you're still chayev. Okay? What do I mean by that? That obviously...
So you have to take out the word.
Obviously, the Zoreh, the guy who spits it to the wind, needs the wind in order to take it 4 amos away, right? So it's not your fault. Still your chai because of Zoreh, because we see from Zoreh, by winnowing into the wind, that it doesn't necessarily have to be your specific Maisa.
So you have to take out the word mishum and substitute like kamo.
Right, kamo Zoreh, we call him Menashe Ilya, yeah. Right. Even the Lieberman doesn't like his shot. Finds it too creative. Okay, but otherwise you're stuck kind of what the comparison is. If you're not going to say it's comparison just in the basis of what wind is, then you're stuck in comparison of the chemicals, and that's whatever you're dealing with here. Not the chemicals. I mean the makeup, and there's no comparison to makeup because one has chaff and one doesn't. Okay, so it's difficult. All right, haborer. What's borer? Ta'am Rabbi Yehuda Yeshu borer kid throwers kol hayom. It's a fascinating Gemara. Somebody can pick out rock pebbles the entire day from grain. Beinu mischayiv is not chayiv because of borer. The Yeshu notok a grogeris is one who takes a grogeris worth of grain or of rock from the grain, which is a very small amount, and he's chayiv, right? How so? You're sitting on a pile of grain, and you're taking rocks out the entire day from the pile of grain. There's no chiyuv borer. Why is that? Why no? More Yerushalmi reason. That'll be a Bavli reason.
If you have just a regular, robber.
Because he's not pulling anything off.
He's going to go to the closest place he can find because he wants to get out of there.
It's not, at the end of the day, you're still going to have too many pebbles in the silo for it to have made a difference what you did. But you didn't have borer because you didn't make it suitable to eat, or even for that matter to sell, because it's impossible for you to get everything out.
But you've improved it. You may not have made it perfect.
That doesn't matter. That's what we're saying. That's not a malacha. The malacha is to make it now suitable to eat. And that's why even if you have one measure, right? Excuse me?
The Korbanetas points it out.
Right. Not a tochiodo kigorgeres beer, but you took it to your grogeres and was mevared. Then, of course, at the end of that process, it's very edible. So, there, in that case, you're chayiv. Okay. Rabbi Yonah boy also came b'Shabbos. Rabbi Yonah shifts gears a little bit. He's going Gemara and Beitza, not in our Gemara. Gemara Beitza says that on Yom Tov we have machlokas. Beis Hillel says borek kedarko. You can do borek even normally do in a weekend, but only use small vessels. Beis Shammai says you can't even use small vessels. You can do is ocham mitoch psolas, right? Going to ocham mitoch psolas. We pass in l'maisa by Yom Tov, of course, like Beis Hillel. They do whatever breira is less work intensive. But Beis Shammai says you can't. You just use anything. You have to have designated containers for this whole mess. Okay? Is that clear what I'm saying? Designated container is the wrong word. Alright, I see him. I have to stand for the last few minutes, otherwise I'm going to keep falling. I can't stand when I fall asleep in the middle of sentences. Basil says that by Yontif, you're allowed to do borer than any way you want on weekdays. You're not allowed to use the major vessels, which are used that. Only small vessels, kanan v'tamchui, they're called. Like funnels, not major sieves. Okay? Beis Shammai says, even on Yontif, you have to be borer dafka ochel mitoch psolas. You can't be borer psolas mitoch ochel. Okay? Basil says, on Yontif, you be borer psolas mitoch ochel. Beis Shammai says you can't. So far, so good. Is that clear? So our shiur, what does Beis Shammai hold by Shabbos? Does Beis Shammai hold by Shabbos also ochel mitoch psolos is mutter? Does Beis Shammai hold by Shabbos you can't even do ochel mitoch psolos? In other words, basically, according to Beis Shammai on Shabbos, no borer would be permissible whatsoever. You also do any type of borer whatsoever. So says Gemara again. Al daiti Beis Shammai bar b'yonah boy also came b'Shabbos. Al daiti Beis Shammai ma'ushi achayev. If you did the same borer which Beis Shammai allows on Yontif, does he let it go on Shabbos as well? Why not? He also came b'Shabbos adas Beis Hillel. Why aren't you chayev? You also came b'Shabbos adas Beis Hillel. That which Beis Hillel is matir on Yontif. If you do the same thing on Shabbos, we stone you to death, right? We stone you, and the stones you took with the stones you were borer out of the grain, right? So if you do it according to Beis Hillel's borer, which Beis Hillel permits on you, if you do it on Shabbos, we kill you, right? So therefore it follows also hachachai. But Beis Shammai's matir on Yontif, if you did it on Shabbos, we kill you as well. So therefore, according to Beis Shammai, effectively there would be no permissible borer when it came to Shabbos altogether. Period, right? Rabbi Mana said no. Yos. Rabbi Yonah Abba. Should be Abba with an Aleph. My Rabbi Yonah Tati, because Rabbi Mana was a son. Rabbi Yonah, my father, said good. And you misunderstood him. His cheshma is like this. Lo atzil the Beis Shammai. He's asking Beis Shammai. Lama, why did Beis Shammai allow this type of bar in Yontif? Is it because maybe it's because Breira is permitted on Yontif. And therefore I'd say on Shabbos, of course, it's not permitted, and Lo Utar Mikla Breira but Shabbos. And therefore if you go back to Shabbos, you're not allowed to do this time Breira, and if you did, you're Chayev Chatos. That's one way of looking at it. The other way of looking at it is to say, although the Yerushalmi itself doesn't bring this down to read Bad says, what the other side of the equation would be? The other side of the equation would be to say that, no, what Beis Shammai said by Yontif is not a special dispensation by Yontif, but to identify this as not being a type of borer at all. Ochel mitoch psolos is never borer, and therefore mutter not just on Yontif, but even in Shabbos as well. Is that okay? So the two starting there, which the Gemara only expounds on one according to Rebbe. Do we paskin like Beis? Not do we paskin? Does Beis Shammai paskin Tzuras HaPesach is wrong with Sechta? Oh boy, even staying doesn't do any good. The Beis Shammai paskin Breira never is mutter, right? Borer is never mutter, and therefore even on Shabbos you can't do it. Does Beis Shammai say that no? Still not getting it right. Does Beis Shammai say that Shabbos is always more severe by a notch, and therefore you can't do any kind of borer by Shabbos? By Yontif, there's this one kind you can do. By Shabbos, nothing's mutter. But Beis Shammai says no, and that's what the Gemara is saying. Hutar michlala by Yontif. There's a certain type of borer which is mutter on Yontif, which is not mutter on Shabbos. Or do I say Beis Shammai meant to say this is not called borer? That it's not called borer, it's mutter on Shabbos as well. Okay?
It's not called borer.
Okay.
Derech Achila. To take ochel from souls be called Derech Achila. Now, of course, we don't answer this question, and we don't paskin like Beis Shammai, so it doesn't matter for us. But along those lines, bir ochel mitoch ochel. What happens to borer on ochel mitoch ochel? Let's say you have steak and potatoes, and you borrow the steak from the potatoes. Is that okay or is that not okay? Okay? We stone you for that too. Rabbi Yochanan says you're exempt. So it's only this is Rabbana. Maslisa pliga l'chizkar. Mishnah seems sorry Rabbi Chizkar. The Amar it says, the Brisa. The Amar it says, borer v'ochel uborer miniach al shulchan. You can do borer and eat, or you can do borer even and leave on the table. So it means it seems to mean you can be borer ochel mitoch ochel. Now I can, right? So Rabbi Bun Barachia b'shem Rishmul Rabbi Yitzchak said, he potashu orchin ochim mishana mishana. So about where you never did borer because the guests are eating whatever you borer immediately at the table. So therefore, it's not borer. What does borer mean? You put it down. But here, there's no putting it down. So therefore, there wouldn't be borer ochel mitoch ochel. Borer mitoch ochel is when right now you take out one foodstuff and leaving the other foodstuff for later on. That's the case which we don't know what the status is by borer ochel mitoch ochel.
Isn't borer with his psolas?
That's our shiur. Why? So we pass it. What? No, you can't. No. Ochel mitoch ochel is not mutter unless it's mamish now. They're b'shas achila, not ahead of time. Okay. So it's that higher type. You must have can if you do so. B'Shabbos chayev. On Shabbos you're chayev. Aldaiti the chizkiya means you came borer kedarko b'Shabbos chayev. Means if you borer even ochel mitoch ochel, one mean completely out of the other mean, you're chayev. Aldaiti Rabbi Yochanan doesn't say that. How do we learn this price? So you must say shekena borer kedarko b'mokom it should be acher chayev. Of course, ochel mitoch ochel is not borer. If that's the case, why can't you do an entire type, right, and move an entire type of food for another food? Because people mistake and say in other places mutter as well, where in other places not mutter. Okay? Says Gemara, daiti the chizkiya. According to logic chizkiya, I feel yigoylim yigona goy yigoylim. Even if you have round dates in front of round dates, I feel reminding figs in front, pomegranates before pomegranates. In other words, even if you're doing the same type, since you're being borrowed black figs from white figs or black pomegranates from white pomegranates, the bottom line is going to chizkiya. You're chayev. You're not allowed to do such a thing, right? Says Gemara. Any kind.
What's an example? Cherry in the fruit cocktail. Right?
You want to say it for last?
Yeah.
It will be also going to chizkiya. That's right. Okay. Okini says the Yerushalmi. If that's the case, let's take it first step further. I feel b'nei nash mean go b'nei nash. You say all those wearing red shirts go to that side. And be borer according to chizkiya, right? Because you're being borer ochel mitoch ochel. One commodity from another commodity always be borer. So my kedum. What's the conclusion? Top of new number aleph. Rabbi Yami. Everybody agrees to what Rabbi Yami said. Problem is we don't know what Rabbi Yami said. To Rabbi Yami said we have here, but none of the Mepharshim agree as to what he said. So Rabbi Yami, Havali Orchin, he had guessed, Api Kodameo Tumasinu Psilin. Now I'm going to learn this like Lieberman, which says that Tumasinu Psilin are both foodstuffs. Okay, so it's ochel mitoch ochel, right? Amar alone having datechon. So he said, pay attention. Datu michel kisaya b'sufa. They're going to eat kisaya, which is one of the two foodstuffs at the end. So it's borer ochel mitoch ochel. So why is it permitted? Because the Korban Eidah says it's derech achila. No, Lieberman says it's derech achila. So it's seder achila. Even Chizkiya agrees. When is ochel mitoch ochel aser? When I'm not doing it as part and parcel of the normal conduct of the meal. But it's part and parcel of the normal conduct of the meal. He's telling them eat this first and then the other thing afterwards. That's okay. That's not considered to be boring. Okay.
Children play games on Shabbos where they choose their sides.
Yeah.
And they choose you.
Yeah, but Yerushalmi didn't mean seriously, people. Yerushalmi meant that as a mockery of Chizkiya. It was Talmudic humor. Chizkiya, ha ha, you really want to say that too? That's really what it was. Okay? Kind of, you learn, Ein borim v'lo tochtim v'lo meraktim. What is this story about a very Bo Shabbos in Yontif.
was an artificial designation by that person as to what.
Right. That's true.
It's not even like what the norm is. It doesn't any indication that the norm is people eat that way. It's just he designated it.
Right. It's not a very big. It is a big chiddush that way. Yeah, because you're allowed to designate himself, right? Okay. True. Tani, ain't bar v'lo tochni v'lo marakidim. What is not allowed to do on a yontif, breira, grinding, or sifting. Habora v'atochim v'amraki b'Shabbos nisko. If somebody does anything on Shabbos, we stone him to death. But yontif, he doesn't. Yontif studies everybody gets 40 lashes. How can you say this? Why can you say can't do breira? V'atin did we learn? Bora kedarko v'cheko tam. We learn that so can even use these implements called chaygon tamchoy to be borrowed within the walls, within the confines of shop. Within the walls. So again, Arabic slipped. I'm sorry. Vati carpetos. Vati and borav kedarko v'chayko v'tamchoy means even on at least on yontif was allowed to do breira, right? So how can you say in yontif you're not allowed to do breira, right? It says you're allowed to do it kedarko as long as you're using one of the small implements. So Rabbi China ad tunaya to Rabbi Gamliel. That would say you're not allowed to do any breira. So Rabbi Gamliel. V'atian, as we learned, Shabbat Saglil hayushokin. I skip. Gamliel Amar Ab Moediach v'Shol said you're not allowed to do any breira. All you're doing is allowed to rinse, which is less of a form, of course, of cleansing. Borer is to remove dirt or remove the stuff from the dirt, but cleansing by rinse is mutter, not cleansing by borer. Vatina, did we learn? Shabbat Gamliel, you were shirking us up, pilplim b'rechaim shalem. Hagasar and Gamliel so machmer, they used to grind stuff on the yontif, right? So grinding certainly should be forbidden according to them, because he just said borer, tochim, v'amrak, all go together. So how do you allow grinding on the yontif? So it says more mutter litchom v'asur lavor. No, that's part of the question. Mutter litchom v'asur lavor. It's permitted to grind, but also to do breira. Rabbi Yossi Shem Rabbi Hillel said lo chotchina kedarko. When they allowed grinding, they only grounding, not kedarko, but not in the normal fashion, nor not to be chayv the rice.
In other words,
how do we know you're not allowed to do any of these things? Rabbi on yontif, even on yontif. It's ochel nefesh, right? Should be permitted because it's for the purpose of eating. Everything permitted purpose of eating on yontif is mutter. So Rabbi Yosef Shem Lucky said this trust is brought down in the Bavli in Tosis on the beginning of Beitza. Kam lachol le'yasu bahem, no malach should be done on them. Ushmartem es hamatzos, and you should watch the matzos. So what does it mean you should watch the matzos? It means anything which is necessary in the process of shmiras matzah, that you need to do a shmira, nothing else. So when does that begin? When does the necessary shmira matzah begin? When you need it. Because only then does it become susceptible to becoming chametz, right? I mean, hypothetically it becomes susceptible before that, but the practical danger is when you start eating it. And since the practical danger when you start eating it, so you're allowed to do only malachas which appear in the 39 after kneading. From kneading and above, not anything below that. Okay? So says the Gemara, Tanya Rabbi Yossi boy, Rabbi Yossi didn't like this. He says, from this buzz shmarta matzahs, kum landu l'tav shel mikan. But he learned that matzah balls are not kosher matzahs for Pesach. Not kosher for the Seder. Why is that? How do we learn from that pasuk? It doesn't need shmir, the Pnei Moshe says. Because it gets scalded, and scalded dough cannot become chametz. So therefore, it's not ushmartem es hamatzos. You don't shmir for it. You need matzos where the shmira was essential in order for them to become a chametz.
So this allows gebruchs or
what?
Gebruchs?
Of course, gebruchs are mutter. So much later, chumra than the Gemara, right? The people who ask the Gemara say at the time of the Gemara they're more bucky in how to make sure it doesn't become chametz. But nowadays we no longer know how to scald it in order to make sure it doesn't become chametz. Okay? But in any event, so that's what we learn from Ushmartem. Night with Malacha, we learn what are parameters of what can be shmura matzah, what can't be shmura matzah, right? And you can't use matzah, but it's shmura matzah. So says the Gemara, Rabbi Yossi Lamar came. Therefore, Rabbi Yossi declared the drasha slightly differently. Not like this. El Rabbi Yossi Lamar, Rabbi Yossi B'Shem Rishim Lager said, it says in close proximity that anything which is for ochel never should be made. And that we learn out is a typo. It should be min. It says here on the side, ushmartem esamatzos. In other words, they're not actually ushmartem esamatzos themselves, because that would provide us in the drasha for which matzah balls are no good. Rather, we're darshaning that since there's a connection, a gzera shava, if you were, or whatever you want to call it, a hekesh, between and the ushmartem esamatzos, right? So therefore we derive one for the other. Very strange, but that's the way it works. Tani Chizkil Poli. Chizkil looked at Brisa and he argued. Says, how does he know what you're not allowed to do in Yontif? Hare Elam Yutim. There are two Yutim here. There's a third one too, I forget which one. The name at the bottom is the three Yutim, which you learn that you're not allowed to harvest, to grind, or to sift on Yontif. Okay? So before we learned it out from Ushmartem Esamatzos. Now we're learning out from another place, but the idea is the same. That idea is the same, that there's certain malachas prior which now doing Yontif, they must be done before Yontif begins. Okay? Says the Gemara, and again, the Yerushalmi, the Beitza bring this out, Loch Lamaisa. They're not allowed to go and harvest on Yontif, say, in order to make yourself a cake, because that's one, according to everybody, that's one of the things that you're forbidden to do. Okay, not litzor, not litchom, is a little harky, and it certainly comes before all the other activities. Rabbi Zia and Rabbi Chia Bar Ashi both said, B'Shem Shmuel Hamishamer, somebody who puts like coffee in a filter in order to make coffee, the way you make good coffee. So Chai Mishum Maraki. That's Maraki, because you're sifting, right? Sorry, because the borer, the stuff, the in this case the wine from the little pieces of wood which are in it, and in our case, of course, the water from the coffee, right? No, it's not called borer, it's called sifting. Rabbi Yonah and Rabbi Yezid, they both said originally, we say, Rabbi Zira said good, right? That's Meraki. Why? Because Meraki, when you do Meraki, when you sift, the coarse stuff stays on top, and the fine stuff falls through. So too, when you strain wine, the wine falls through, and the dregs stay on top. Clean. Even though we thought, however, that Mishamer was like Meraki, it was a bunch of baloney. We were wrong. How do I know it's wrong? I'll tell you. Because on Yontif it's mutter to do Mishamer. And on Yontif must be Klal Breira. Because Breira is Hutter, Miklal Breira, Hutter, Miklal Shimur. Since it's a part of Breira, that's why Shimur's mutter. Hutter, Miklal Breira. How do we know? Because just like you do Breira on Yontif, Bora Gedarko, Becheko, Betamchui, you can do normal Breira on Yontif, Hutter, Miklalo Shimur. So too, it can be Matir Shimur, the sifting of the wine from its splinter wood. As it says, you're allowed to put something into one of these filters on Yotif. However, you put it into the principle of Harkada, of separating grain from its chaff. Low time Miklal Koda, you're not allowed to separate grain from its chaff on Shabbos, on Yotif, as we just learned. The Rabbi Chanina ben Yasif, Shem Rabbi Yehuda, Rabbi Chanina ben Yasif said, "Ain't shrenes hakemach." One is not allowed to sift flour. Only one can do a little bit of a shinui and sift with the back of the sieve. So in Mishum Marakid, who yeh also, if you're going to say it's Marakid, so then it would be forbidden to do it. Rabbi Yossi Barbun udlok Rabbi Yehuda. It's not like Rabbi Yehuda. The Taish Rabbi Yehuda aval machshirei ochel nefesh hitiru. And he holds that you're allowed to do anything which is eventually going to lead to food. B'ayadam ilsa. So according to whom do we have this question? Ma'al l'shanos is a kemach la'chorei napa. Can one sift the flour on the back of the sieve? It's only a question according to Rabbanan, because according to Rabbi Yehuda, for sure it's going to be mutter. Okay, the bottom line is that we pass them like Rabbanan, and therefore it's not all malachas of ochel nevesh are mutter. At least Kitsira, Harkada, and the Zria, Zoreh are all also right. But according to the other ones, which the places that they bring down Beitzah, only things after, from the beginning of the process of kneading are mutter, and not anything prior to that in making bread. Okay, we'll stop here. Obviously.